It's not all easy. It is really challenging to find new friends, find new routines, find new places, but it just makes it all worth it when you do it yourself and you do it because you believe that you could do it.
I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step. Today we have Krista Williams and Lindsey Simcik on the show. They are the ladies from Almost 30. I actually recorded with them on their podcast and went and met them in person in Los Angeles. And I was familiar with these women. They have their own podcast, which is called Almost 30. And when I showed up, I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know if I'm cool enough to be around these ladies. They are just so hip. And the truth is, the second I met them, it was like someone I had known forever. They are cool, and they do up my cool factor, I think. But what we talk about in this episode is how they went from their 9-to-5s to starting a show on their closet floor, recording, and now it's become such a huge platform for them and a business that's growing and thriving. Lindsey is an actor. She's obviously a podcast host, fitness and lifestyle model, and she's also a SoulCycle instructor. And Krista is the founder of the 100 blog and, of course, a podcast host as well. One of the things that I really enjoyed discussing during this conversation with them is this concept of moving and the power of a move. Whether that's moving your office space around or your living room around, or moving to another place within the same city, or moving potentially across country, just that energy that happens in terms of change when we move things. And also just when you move your body. That's one of the best things we can do physiologically and for our mental health. And we talk about their moves, some literal moves, moving across the country. And we talk about sometimes the fact that our careers are rarely ever linear. Krista and Lindsey mention this concept of kind of zigzagging, how you may feel like you're zigzagging, and maybe you are, but in the end, you're actually progressing. You know, there is a up and to the right line that's going on the spreadsheet. So Krista and Lindsey have a dynamic between the two of them that is extremely special. You'll hear it. Here we are, three of us, having this conversation, but they just know the flow and they have a fun chemistry that is truly special. And they're funny, very funny. Quick shout out to everyone that has recently joined the Why Not Now private Facebook group. It has been a blast to connect on just another level with you, to go live and answer questions and share what I'm learning and thinking. And it's just a place that I am truly holding as a sacred kind of zone to share and connect. And then I just see everyone else connecting with each other, and it just makes me happy. So if you haven't joined and you're interested, come check out our private group. Just go onto Facebook and search Why Not Now private group. request to come in, we'll let you in. We tackle the most taboo topics on the Why Not Now show. Oftentimes, you're hearing guests share things they've never shared before. In the spirit of things we don't typically talk about, you should know that the Why Not Now show is supported by Poopery, the original before you go toilet spray. It's magic. My friends at Poopery have literally taken the smell out of you-know-what. This pure blend of essential oils stops bathroom odor before it begins. Visit poopery.com and Why Not Now listeners get 20% off with code WHYNOTNOW. That's all one word. And you can hear the story about Poopery in our interview with founder Susie Batiste. That's Why Not Now episode 28. Poopery is also available at Bed Bath & Beyond. Krista and Lindsey, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
We're so excited to talk to you. It was such a pleasure to meet you when you came over to Lindsey's and we got to record. So we couldn't be more excited to be on the podcast today.
Yeah, Amy, you're the best. So we're excited to chat.
Well, I'm pretty jazzed about this too. I get to turn the tables and let's dive right in. I had a blast hanging out with you two, and your chemistry is unmatched. So I'm excited for this combo. In the spirit of Why Not Now, can you tell me about a time when you had a big decision to make and you had to ask yourself, why not now?
Yeah, I think individually first, I had the opportunity about 4 years ago to move across the country. And I had always dreamed of moving to LA. I was living in New York at the time. And I dreamed that I would be able to pursue my acting career in LA and, become that big movie star and do all the things. But I just didn't know how or when. And that overwhelmed me to the point that I wasn't making any proper steps to go in that direction. I just felt a little bit stuck. But I got involved with SoulCycle, became an instructor. And soon after becoming an instructor, they asked me to move to LA. And I remember the moment like it was yesterday. It was 9:00 at night. They called me and said, we can have the conversation or we don't have to, but we want you to move to LA. Would you go? And I just knew in that moment, like I knew it was that like, why not moment? It was that moment that was meant for me. And I just, even though the logistics were kind of crazy and it was going to happen really quickly, I just said yes. And from there, everything has flowed. Everything.
Wow. It's interesting because it sounds like it was a very non-linear process. You knew what you wanted to do, where you wanted to go, where you wanted to be. You didn't know exactly how it was going to happen. But just by putting those intentions out there, you kind of reverse engineered it, or some say maybe manifested. It's really interesting. I was just having a conversation with someone about this yesterday of how that really works, actually. You don't always have to know the how to get there, right?
Yeah, it's been such a zigzag. I think my whole life has felt like a big zigzag. And now I'm kind of more playful with it and not so attached to how everything's going to go. Because I thought, I would come out here and I'd, be on a TV show and do all the things. And it's kind of just gone in different directions. And it's been so beautiful and fulfilling. And the ability to like let go of what I thought it was going to be has helped to bring more of those like why not now moments in.
And you're leaving some space for it. Well, and because we're starting with you, Lindsey, I think this is a great time for me to bring this up. So I was researching you, as I do, snooping around on the interwebs. Of course, you have who you are and you can find out, the different areas of focus in your life, and you're an actress, a podcast host, a model, SoulCycle instructor. And then I find your YouTube channel. And the first video I click on is you singing, Lindsey. Where is musician listed in this portfolio? Holy shit, your voice is insane. And can you start singing on your podcast, please, too?
We've been asking that. It's hard when you're good at so many things. It's like, what do people focus on?
Thank you. It's been I've always sang, and I've talked about it on the podcast a little bit, actually, especially in a recent episode we did on finding your true note with Stuart Pearce, and just really dropping into your voice. I've struggled with vocal notes for the past few years because of SoulCycle, because of excessive drinking, because of just being an asshole about taking care of my voice. I was kind of like robbed of my singing voice for a long time. And so I really felt like a part of me was lost. So recently, in the last year or so, I really got it down to a science, what it takes to take care of my voice. And I don't do it to necessarily be the next pop star at all. It's more, it really gives me life, and it actually inspires me in other aspects of what I'm doing. So when I sing, I notice that I'm a bit more clear in the creative process with the podcast or with acting, anything like that. I don't know what it is actually. It's just like moving energy in a different way.
Well, and it's funny because I'm just picturing The Little Mermaid and Ariel, and you lost your voice, and now you're getting it back, and you're owning your voice, and anyway. So I will refrain from trying to become your talent manager, your agent.
Well, thank you.
I'll take on both of you. Let's switch gears for a minute, because I think this is actually a really cool, interesting kind of dynamic with the two of you, because you have so much that you're doing together. And then you also have, and this chemistry that I'm not going to stop talking about because it is real and tangible, and that's not always the case. And then you have your different zones of genius and areas of passion and creativity. And so after we maybe go through Krista's Why Not Now moment individually, I'd love to touch on that, of how you balance and keep those both alive while you're growing this thing that you've built together too. So I'm going to bookmark that. And this is the first time I've ever interviewed two people at once virtually. So bear with me, listeners, as I'm organizing how we're going to do this. Krista, you're up. Do you have a Why Not Now moment?
Yes, I do. I think mine was sort of similar to Lindsey's, where I was, it was a career shift and it was a move. Mine happened to be 4 years prior. I was living in Chicago and I was working in finance consulting at a job that I didn't really love. And I knew that there was something more for me. I knew that there was a better place for me. I knew that there was a better relationship for me. I was in a relationship for 5 years with someone. And within the course of 3 months, I quit my job. I started talking to Justin. So Justin is the person who I'm with now. He's my life partner. And I quit my job, decided to go for it. I'd only met Justin one other time in my life. And I moved to New York, moved in with him. So I had known in my heart, I knew in my soul that there was a new place for me, a new story for me, just a better fit for me as far as love goes. And I knew I had to take a chance on it and make the move and make the dive and really leave a comfortable life behind that I had in Chicago. I had really great friends. I had a good relationship at the time, but I knew that without making any moves or any chances, that nothing was going to change and that I was going to pretty much stay status quo. And I had a faith over a fear that there was something that was out there that was more for me. I just had to get over the fear of making all the decisions to do it. So it was scary, and I was unemployed for 6 weeks. I had moved in with someone that I knew, but I didn't really know that well. He had been talking for 3-4 months, 5 months at that time. And I was in a city that I had never really even been to, more than visiting the Statue of Liberty with my parents. But through the challenging times and through everything, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it really shaped the next years of my life and gave me an ability to make harder, scarier decisions in the future.
So both of you had a physical move involved in your Why Not Now moments that came to mind to share. And I think it also ties back to something you said, Lindsey, about just movement and energy. If there are listeners right now who are considering a move, I know there are, I've heard from them, and a location geographic move, what would be your number one piece of advice, each of you?
There's so much that could happen with a location move. It's really you have the opportunity to rewrite your life and like redo and become who you are. I always found it really challenging. I grew up in Ohio. Ohio is very conservative. You know, you follow the status quo. My parents pretty much followed the status quo, loved them very much, but that's what they did. I always felt like if I stayed in Ohio, I would be whoever people in Ohio wanted me to be. They wanted me to have a secure job, to live in Ohio, to think like they did, act like they did. And each time I remember moving, even moving from Ohio to Chicago, I felt like I could become more the person that I wanted to become rather than other people. So since then, I've moved to New York and then LA. And each time I've become more and more of this person that I want to become, whether it's because of navigating and figuring out the challenging times during a move. You know, it's not all easy. It is really challenging to find new friends, find new routines, find new places. But it just makes it all worth it when you do it yourself and you do it because you believe that you could do it.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point about having this opportunity to reinvent yourself, to redream, to shed the layers of conditioning, or at least some of them, that we build up when we stay in one place even.
I think like too, to that point, like if we're in a place for a long time, especially when we're younger, early 20s, teens, whatever it is, like we're in like an autopilot mode. So we go to the places and do the things that feel comfortable in our own routine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with routine necessarily, but as you evolve and as you change and as you want to know yourself a little bit better, I think like your soul requires you to make these changes I think everyone's on a different cycle. Krista always says like every 2 years kind of feels like she needs a change in some way. And so I feel like everyone's on a different cycle, but to kind of take yourself outside of that autopilot mode. And I think for a lot of people, it feels like loneliness. And for a lot of people, it feels like this unknown and they could feel like they're navigating blindly. But I think if you're able to tune in and get quiet and listen, there are a lot of messages, especially right at that point when you make that big change and you make that big move. That's why I think it's important to spend time by yourself when you do those things. Yes, it's always nice to move with someone, but to be able to separately take that time and get to know yourself in that new space so you're not defining yourself necessarily by everyone else.
It could even mean a move across town or to a different apartment or, you know, who knows, a different country. Yeah, I think it's a really powerful complement to that why not now mentality. And if you have another big thing that's changing in your life, sometimes it's good to do it all at once and just get all, some fresh eyes on everything. So let's talk a little bit about your business. I mean, so you're in business together, and we can go back to kind of how you met. But what I'd really love to dive into is let's take a peek behind the curtains and what does the underbelly of running your own startup business look like, and some of the things that maybe are unexpected, and to be doing it together as friends and as business partners. Tell me everything.
I know it's so weird because I never thought I never thought about being my own business owner or an entrepreneur, but now that I am, I realize I don't know how I was anything else. It's amazing and awesome, but it's been funny since I quit so I was working my full-time job for the majority of the time when we were building the business, like 2 years. And since quitting my full-time job to run our business with Lindsey full-time, it's been so funny to kind of see all the beauty of being an entrepreneur and running your own business, but then see all the challenges too. It's for me who I would work all day, every second if I could. And to manage that kind of anxiety and that kind of mentality within your own business when the work you put in, you see the effort coming out, I guess, has been really challenging. And there's so much more of a mental game for me that I never really saw coming. Every decision matters, it feels like. You are responsible for the direction the ship is going. And it's incredible to see this thing grow, but there is also a lot too behind it.
Yeah. And I think yeah, we're at the helm. And so it feels there are so many decisions to be made within just a 24-hour period. And we are the ones that our team turns to. And so that's a muscle that we've been exercising. And I've been exercising kind of the mental health of it all, because like, I think sometimes like your ego can get in the way and be like, well, I didn't do that right, or that didn't feel right, or am I worthy of this, or am I being a good boss or leader? And at the end of the day, which has really helped us, is to think of Almost 30 as an entity. Our good friend Peta Kelly kind of helped that light bulb go off for us. But to think of her as an entity that's tapped us on the shoulder. And so to kind of, in a way, wake up every day and just say, like, how can I serve you? What do you need? You know, and just to kind of take the pressure off of us individually and think about serving Almost 30 as a whole, as a brand, as a community, has helped. And to kind of mirror what we do on the podcast in our business. So on the podcast, we're very honest. We're very vulnerable. We share our stories. We don't sugarcoat it. We allow people to watch us learn. And so we're doing that with our team as well. Like Krista and I are learning every single day, and we're not doing things necessarily perfectly. But as long as we're transparent with each other and with the team, it seems to be energizing everyone to be their best selves, give their best effort, and be really forgiving when it's not so hot, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's so relatable, I think, to, well, myself and probably many people listening, as far as, you know, we think we're going to leave X, Y, and Z situation, our 9 to 5 or our previous, you know, setup, to do our own thing, to be our own boss, and we're going to have all this freedom, and that carrot of freedom is just so enticing. And I think especially right now, our society romanticizes entrepreneurship, and rightfully so. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. However, I've personally experienced and spoken to a lot of people who feel like they get that freedom, and then, like you kind of said, they realize, wow, I'm in charge and I can create my own results. And it becomes really cause and effect, that feedback loop, and that excitement of, oh, I can make things happen, can make you want to work all the time, right? And without realizing, and I think sometimes we can end up in a similar situation, if not worse than the previous 9 to 5, if we're not super intentional, like you just said, because that freedom can quickly turn on you if you're not keeping an eye on it. And I know that's why I asked you the question, because I think, you know, listening to your podcast and everything that you two talk about and that's important to you is that healthy lifestyle and being aligned with your higher purpose. And so can you talk a little bit about how you are keeping that in check? Like literally, I was meditating this morning and I got monkey mind, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm thinking about all these different things, which can be very normal in meditation. I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you about, my to-do list, and I thought, wow, I'm going to ask them how do you stay aligned? How do you stay centered?
For me, my number one, you know, like you were talking about, is meditation. You know, I've even realized it now in the past couple weeks. I've been traveling. We were just in Japan, like we were talking about, and we moved into a new place. So I'm not exactly settled, and I haven't been meditating as much. And I can immediately tell a difference in my mood, a difference in my patience, a difference in my monkey mind. So my insecurities flare up. I question who I am, why I'm doing things, all of the things. So my ability to be an entrepreneur and run my own business confidently, coolly, kindly is directly affected by my mental state and my clarity, which is given to me by meditation. Anything outside of meditation is also eating well, avoiding sugar. Sugar for me is like a trigger. It really affects my mood. It'll make me tired. It'll make me happy for a second. It'll make me hungry again. It'll, just affect my blood sugar. And then working out. Working out is just such a drug for me and for a lot of people, and in a really good way. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel just more whole, more strong. So, I just cover the basics basically with the meditation, movement, and then clean as much as I can eating. And it greatly impacts, my ability to run the business with Lindsey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I say the same. I would have to echo all of those things. And Krista introduced me to meditation, and it's been really nice to be with myself in that way. I think I enjoy alone time, and that's kind of like my added thing where I really need to recharge when I'm alone. Some people need to recharge with people. I need to recharge by myself. So that's really important. Now that we're on tour and we're meeting so many incredible people, it's funny how it could energize you in the moment, and then coming down from it, because it is so joyful, I can come down and be a little de-energized. So I tend to recharge by myself. And then, moving my body has always been a way in which I've been able to kind of settle when my mind tends to go in the direction of deep-seated insecurities and doubting myself. And so movement kind of literally moves that. So I was teaching for SoulCycle, that definitely helped on a daily basis, but then to take time for my own intentional workouts that are just for me. I love to be in classes where I'm being taught. That really fills me up since I'm the one teaching a lot of the time. And then also writing. So it's one of the things that I love the most and I resist the most. And so when I'm able to sit down and just allow my mind to just dump a little bit onto a page, it's helped me to understand exactly what I've been thinking about for the last, 24 hours, and how it's just been cooped up in my mind. And then it's on paper and it's not so overwhelming or serious. Mm-hmm. So that's really been a great tool for me to help balance. But again, the word balance, I don't know if we do it right. We never feel very balanced per se, because almost 30 is just such a big part of our life, and it seems to be the majority of our life, and we want it to be that way. So I think it's just in those moments when you can take to intentionally recharge that will keep everything in flow.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. I am looking for someone to mentor. So I've partnered with Bumble Biz to find the right match. You hear me talk about mentorship all the time on this show because my mentors have been massively critical in helping me navigate my windy career path and my life. And I want the same for you. I want you to have access to a mentor just like I've had. So I want to connect with you on Bumble Biz. You're probably familiar with Bumble for dating, or even Bumble Friendship, known as Bumble BFF. Well, Bumble Biz is career-focused. It's stacked with business opportunities, and it's a smart way to expand your network. I'm on the app now, and I will be picking someone to match up with for a mentorship in the very near future. So if you're interested in getting some guidance and spending one-on-one time with me, download Bumble and switch your mode by pressing the logo at the top and move into Bumble Biz. So try it now, because if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Why not now? And if you're not familiar with Bumble, put them on your radar. I have had a crush on this brand since the early days, and I'm thrilled that we are taking things to the next level with this partnership. Hi, everyone. If you are digging this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It just takes a moment, and it means a ton to us. Also, after recording more than 100 episodes, I've created a bit of a cheat sheet on the top 5 things I've learned from renegades and how they get from idea to action, from dreaming to doing. I will email you the downloadable PDF when you subscribe to my newsletter. Just head to amyjomartin.com and click on Connect with Me. My mentor, Susie Batiste, introduced us. And one of my questions for you is, do you have mentors?
That's a great question.
For us, I mean, I kind of think about a lot of the podcast interviews, that we have with these people, a lot of the conversations that we have, Lindsey will take something from it. I will take something from it. I mean, you always hear what you need to hear. So it's funny, like what two different people will get from a conversation. We're very similar. So a lot of the stuff, the vibe we'll get is very similar, but I hear what's needed for me and Lindsey hears what's needed for her. So we have conversations with people like Susie, just amazing, inspiring, insightful women and men, or gender, non-conforming people even. And just, we get inspiration every day. It's almost hard to process, all of the information and all of the insights that we get from the people that we interview.
And just like bearing witness to what they are doing, as we begin our research and we reach out to them and we're fans and we, I don't think it's any accident that we're drawn to certain people and ask them to be on the podcast. There's a part of what they are doing and what they are learning and what they are bringing into the world that inspires something in us and where we are. So we talk about them, and our friend talks about them. Our friend Lacey talks about them as expanders, and they really are. So many of our guests are expanders for us. We can see ourselves in them, and the fact that they've done something that we want to do gives us the confidence, and we're able to kind of see it for ourselves as well. So yeah, I mean, so many mentors, and they don't even know that there are mentors.
I know, right? I had someone mentioned to me the other day something about being an invisible mentor. And I was thinking, that's such a real thing these days, because we're able to follow people so closely and feel like we get to know them. Like in your case, as I listen to, Peter Kelly and you two have this conversation and then start following closer or whatever it might be, you become invisible mentors. And what just occurred to me as I was listening to your answer to that question is, really, I think that there's been this big shift of what a mentorship looks like these days, because in theory, you have created with Almost 30 and with this community and tribe of like-minded people, you've created a mentoring community, really, where you have your secret Facebook group and you have your podcast and ways that you're able to provide your value that you're learning in a pay it forward way, but also your own, that you truly are learning on the fly as you're creating and building this business. So it's pretty cool how it doesn't, there just aren't any formalities or any templates to mentorship anymore. You have a ton.
Nice with podcasts. I feel like people have access to such amazing people. Nowadays you can, or the internet or YouTube or whatever, you can really get access to great messages and great mentors that you can have, essentially in your mind that just help you so much. And that's what we found through the podcast.
Yeah, it's amazing what you've created. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about Almost 30 and just how would you even describe Almost 30 to someone who's not yet familiar, because it's more than a podcast for sure, and how it started.
Yeah, so Almost 30 was inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s. Krista and I met at that intersection at that time in our lives. And we were having conversations about anything and everything: health, wellness, spirituality, sexuality, relationships, leaving our careers and doing our own thing, and anything and everything. And we knew that we couldn't be the only ones experiencing the doubt, the excitement, the fear, the judgment, the questions. So we decided to bring the conversation to the airwaves, and we were recording on our closet floors for about 6 months, fleshing out this conversation, this idea, seeing what our chemistry was. And we launched, a little over 2 years ago, and it's become obviously so much more than just talking about our transition from our 20s to our 30s. Everyone is at, any point in their life going through some sort of transition, and we're all kind of almost something. So our listeners, yes, of course, a lot of them are almost 30, but we have listeners over 30, under 30, all of the things that relate to the topics of health, wellness, spirituality, deepening their sense of self-development, all of that. And it's become a community of really thriving, like-minded people that support one another to the nth degree. It's incredible. And, we have hopes of and are, in the process of building the brand beyond the podcast, which is really exciting. And we're doing that because of the community that's formed around this.
When you set out to do this, and I think this is a really key thing for people to hear, is that, first of all, it's amazing. You're on your closet floor doing this, and you just had this clear passion, obviously, and drive to share and make something of this. But what would you say were your intentions when you started this conversation in terms of what you thought this would or wouldn't be? Did you have any preconceived notions other than the conversation?
I think personally, I don't think we had any other intentions, which isn't really like me, I guess. Usually I do some stuff with intention. I mean, I think me and Lindsey had met maybe 4 months prior, 5 months prior. I'm not exactly sure on timing. So we were just really getting to know each other. And it was almost like our way to hang out and our way to learn about each other and grow together and do this fun project. And then, as we saw the impact that it had on people and the response that we were getting, our mindset obviously shifted to making it the business that would be able to sustain us and reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
But at first it was really just to follow that. And it sounds corny to say, because I know that for other business owners or entrepreneurs or people that want to start a business, it's hard to think sometimes, to follow your curiosity or follow your passion, because they're really hard to find. But really, through these joyful conversations and me and Lindsey hanging out, we just continued to visit it, continued to come back to it, continued to keep trying, continued to keep going, and continue to show up very vulnerably each time that we recorded.
Yeah, and I think the intention to, if I'm thinking about it now, it just felt really good to be honest and be ourselves. And so, the intention, I guess, became every time that we would get behind the mic was just to be ourselves and be really honest, with hopes that everyone listening would feel like they had permission to do the same wherever they were. And listen, that's not always the cutest version of ourselves. We've I wouldn't say made mistakes in that realm, but we've definitely, at least I have overshared on some stuff in the beginning, which is it's funny looking back, but it's learning. I had some family reach out and be like, hey, could you not talk about that? And you take it or leave it, whatever is kind of resonating or feels important to you, fine. But yeah, I think the intention to just be ourselves completely 100% is always our intention.
Well, first of all, it's good to know your family's listening, right? So at least you know that.
Just found out my dad listens, so that's cool.
Has he been a closet listener and just kind of snooping in? No, it's the same. I mean, I think the reason I asked you the question is intuitively I kind of thought that might be how you started, and I think that's why you've experienced the success you have, because with podcasting especially, there has to be, I think, kind of an innocent desire to want to do this regardless of what the business plan looks like. It's just the type of medium and business that if you don't have a legitimate, very true, genuine passion and desire to have these conversations and love what you do, then there's never a chance you're going to monetize it. And so similarly, that's how I started. I didn't even, it was a passion project and it just has blown my mind. But I think that's good because a lot of times I think people grab a mic and think, oh, I'm just going to do this. And there's more to it than that. And so I appreciate you bringing your true selves and really kind of dismissing and not bringing any of those BS layers at all into your show, because it's refreshing. And I think that's why you're doing so well too. So what's one lesson you've had to learn over and over?
I guess just in the process of like building this and it becoming so much more than we could ever imagine. For me, it's been like over and over, I have to remind myself that I am worthy of this, that I deserve it, that, that I can do it. It's just a constant practice. I think it'll get easier, but I think that like younger girl was so used to reading other people's scripts and performing other people's work. And now like this is our baby. And so to really own that is a practice.
And I guess for me, the lesson that I learn over and over again related to the podcast and being in public and kind of sharing my opinion, really vulnerably about my life, my personal life, things that are very deep and personal to me, is that the vulnerability piece that we have where Lindsey and I share, vulnerability again, and very genuinely and very honestly, always pays us in dividends. And we don't do it because we get more listeners or we feel more connected to our audience or they feel more connected to us or they heard something that changed their life because now they know they're not alone. It's just like the way that we need to show up in the world, and that being your authentic self always, whether you're sharing about something personal or not, is the only way to show up and really live the life that you want to live. We are who we are, and we have grown because we have shared and we have been our authentic selves on the podcast. If we weren't, people could tell, people won't listen, people won't connect. So that's probably been the biggest thing that keeps showing up over and over and over again with us.
I agree. I witness it and I bear witness. So it's fun to be a part of your community and watch this be a live kind of organic, entity that's moving and growing and so your tour. Real quick, let's touch on it just in case people can catch you in one of the cities that you're in. What are you doing on tour, and where can people get more info about the schedule?
Yeah, so we have been on tour since the end of May, visiting a couple cities every few weeks, every month. We've been to Toronto, Chicago, New York, Boston, Seattle, and are headed soon to Portland, Dallas, Austin, San Diego. So what our intention on tour is to connect with our listeners in real life. We feel them so strongly through our secret Facebook group, through the comments that we get about episodes on social media, all of that. But there is nothing better than connecting with someone in person. And what's great about the events is that it's really a hangout with our friends. We don't set it up where we're like arriving on stage and they have to like wait in line to meet us. Like we are in it with them. Like we're mingling just as they're mingling. We're eating with them. We're hanging out. We are experiencing, if we have guests on the tour, which we've had Milana Snow, our Reiki healer. We've had Natalie Miles, who's a beautiful, gifted, intuitive, and we're experiencing it with them and facilitating a conversation that will hopefully, inspire them, enlighten them, open them up. And yeah, it's been the most incredible experience I've ever had. And we, as we're rounding out this year, we're rounding out this kind of portion of the tour. We're going international in the new year, London and Australia, and hopefully others. And people can find out about the tour, almost30podcast.com/tour. And we'll be adding places and dates as we go along. But it's really been incredible. Our community has helped to make it possible.
Agreed. The in-person connection is beyond valuable. And so let's do a couple rapid fire questions. First of all, what's your all-time favorite book?
Mine's The Alchemist. I mean,
good one.
It's a classic for everyone, but it's just one that you can always like go to or turn back to and just kind of like remember what really matters.
Mm-hmm. Mine is Big Magic. I think I read it like maybe 5 years ago, and it was like this big fat book of permission for me as like a creator.
What keeps you up at night?
My gosh, our to-do list.
Yep, I hear you.
Up and I'm like, it's so annoying. See, that's the thing with meditation before bed that really helps is like, I won't wake up continuing the conversation that I had right when I fell asleep in my head. So I start with like the what I need to do, ideas, all of these things basically keep me up at night, and making sure everything is running for the tour in addition to what we want to do and the big ideas that we have, running through my conversations from the day. How did I handle things? How did I respond? How could I have responded? Could I have done better? There's just a lot. So,
yeah, I mean, the ideas keep me up at night because like I'm almost like paralyzed if there's too many ideas, and my nature is to have almost too many ideas and not being able to put them into motion in an efficient way. So, yeah, they keep me up.
Pirates or ninjas? Who's tougher? And why? That's important.
100% ninjas.
Ninjas, quiet.
Yeah, quiet.
Agile.
Yeah, agile. Only fight when like prompted to fight. They don't steal from people. Pirates steal from people. Pirates give like indigenous people diseases. You know what I mean? Like, pirates, they smell. Ninjas are life.
And they don't respect, I don't think pirates respect women.
Yes.
Oh, are you starting rumors over there?
Yeah.
I met a pirate last week. I didn't like
Lindsey's Pirates and X.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That might be the best answer I've heard to date. Can you tell me about a recent time when you found yourself in an oh shit moment and how you got out of it?
Yeah, I recently did an ocean swim, and it was only a half a mile, but I had never actually done a swim in the ocean. I was observing my mind. It was actually the craziest thing. And every time I thought of a shark, I would hyperventilate. So like noticing like how my mind affected my breathing in my body. And then I would think of like, so to get out of it, I thought of my grandfather who was like passed like 7 years ago. He was an Olympic swimmer. So I like was talking to him and channeling him. And then I was smooth sailing. It was amazing. Like I wasn't fatigued. I was really calm and centered, and my breathing was in rhythm, but it went back and forth. So it was a lesson in how my mind can completely change my physical state.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Mine was a week before we went to Japan with my boyfriend. His dad, this is funny and sad. His dad texted us and was like, congratulations to the engaged couple. And we're not engaged, and we've been talking about it. So basically like blew the lid on literally Justin's planned engagement. So it was like, oh shit, like what is like going to happen? So that was like my oh shit moment. It wasn't really me, but it was like a moment where we both were like, oh God.
So, I mean, is there another layer to this story, or is it just kind of going to stop right there?
Well, I mean, now we're just going to have to, he had to replan what he was doing for the engagement. So he was planning to do it in Japan.
So did he just say, let's cancel the trip?
Literally. So no, he just told me before, he's like,
he ordered a typhoon and an earthquake.
Yes, he ordered a typhoon and an earthquake and everything. We just called it off. So now we're breaking up. Just
Gosh. Well, that's so cool, though, that he's sticking to the surprise aspect. And I guess that's pretty important to him. So that's cool. Good for him.
Good point.
Yeah.
That takes, it takes a lot to stick to your plan of wanting to surprise. So final question, what advice would you give to your younger self? And you can choose what age that might be.
It was to my younger self. I would say that I would kind of like look myself in the eye and be like, you don't need to drink. Like, you don't like to drink. You don't need to drink. I never enjoyed drinking in high school. I never enjoyed drinking in college, but I always would do it because I felt like it's what everyone was doing. I felt like I wouldn't be cool, or I wouldn't be accepted, or I wouldn't be, having a college experience if I wasn't drinking and partying and doing all of that. And it was never in my nature. I never enjoyed it. I never felt good physically. I never felt good mentally. And I really wish that I would have actually learned and respected myself and chosen to not drink earlier, because I haven't been drunk probably in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And last time I drank I can't remember how long. So I just don't really drink. And I feel so much better because of it.
Right on. That's great advice.
I would go earlier. Normally it's to my early 20s self, but even earlier, in 8th grade, I cut my hair for a part. I was cast as Peter Pan, and my school was very much known for theater, and that's why I went there. And I had kind of a girl that had turned into a little bit of a bully, and she called me some names after I cut my hair and spread rumors, and I had not kissed a boy yet. It was fucking devastating. But I would love to just tell her that, that this decision to cut your hair, to play this role, is going to open up every door. That people who are going to be attracted to your energy and your talent and whatever are going to be attracted to it for the right reasons. And I was just so caught up in what everyone else wanted me to be, and whether boys would like me with short hair, or, all the things that aren't me were getting in my way. So overarching is just my instinct is correct.
I love that. Maybe the title of this show will be How a Peter Pan Haircut Can Change Your Life or something.
I track it back. It changed my life.
Isn't that, it's true, right? It's, that's an awesome story. It's so true. And it's amazing if we could know those things, at the time, or at least appreciate that there's a lot that we're going to realize down the road that all will make sense of this. But thank you for sharing, and thank you both for your time. Where can everyone follow along, connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find the podcast everywhere you can listen to podcasts. So Apple, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. It's Almost 30 Podcast, almost 30. And you can find us on Instagram at Almost 30 Podcast. You can visit our website, almost30podcast.com. We're constantly replying to emails and DMs, so please reach out to us. And then finally, our secret Facebook group, which is the coolest place I've ever been. And everyone is so loving and supportive and open. And we just have the most amazing conversations in there. So I'd highly recommend searching Secret Almost 30 Podcast Group. It's secret because it's just a closed group. We, just kind of monitor what comes in and out. The internet's a weird place. So, but it's great.
Awesome. And thank you both so much for your time and your wisdom. And I'm just glad that we've had a chance to meet in person as well. And it's fun watching your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We look forward to doing more with you next year and seeing you again soon. It's just, I can tell it's the beginning of something beautiful for us both. So we appreciate being on your podcast so much, and we're so excited to share you with Almost 30 Nation too.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins. And of course, a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time, and until then, why not now?